today, or I don't know what your other company is. Sorry, I just looked into the one.
Entirely up to you. They're two very interesting, I think, interesting businesses. They're both very different, but they're both very related because they're both property related. Yeah. So just very briefly, so I was been in a station now for 30 years. Was sent home on furlough like we all did in the first start of the pandemic. Thought it's a good time to start my own business. Didn't want to be an estate agent, so I thought, what can I do that's property related that's different? So I came up with the idea of property finding very much in a kind of Phil and Kirsty style. I then, in November last year, launched an estate agency, despite having promises I didn't want to be an estate agent, but I'm actually not day-to-day involved in that. I've got a business partner who does. But the difference is that we don't charge sellers anything to sell the house. We charge buyers a fee instead. So it's a very disruptive, different business model. But if you want to just focus on the consultancy, entirely fine. But they're both related,
sure,
but separate at the same time. So.
No, that was good. Let's go for consultancy. So you kind of sort of briefly touched on it there, but my first question is, what do you do? And then how long have you been running the business for?
Okay, so yeah, as I say, so I was in for 30 years. I could see at the start of the pandemic, I could see that there was going to be, and the way the market was going, where it was becoming a very strong, or I could see it was going to become a very strong seller's market. That it would be harder for people to buy houses than it was for people to sell houses. So I could see a gap in the market for, because of the travel restriction things, people couldn't travel down to view properties, so they would need somebody on the ground, somebody with local knowledge and expertise to guide them through the whole house buying process and give them some sort of chance. So set the business up, literally got a website, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, blah, blah, put it out there. I was on furlough, getting paid, sitting at home. So I thought, if it doesn't work, I've not lost anything. Yeah. And it took off pretty quickly because once we all realized that the pandemic was going to go on for longer than the first sort of 3 weeks, which we thought it's all it might be. People are like, look, we need to move. We've got a job to start in court. We need to come down, but we can't travel down. We weren't allowed out of our houses. We can't travel down to be pro. So we need somebody down there to help. So fairly quickly the business took off. I was driving up and down the A30 trying to avoid police cars, because I wasn't supposed to be out working. I wasn't a key worker, although I felt like a key worker. And we got some fairly quick wins and successes, and the business kind of took off from there. There are other property finders around, but they tend to only deal with the top end of the market. So if Gordon Ramsay wants a new house, there are people you can contact and they'll find. But I deal with the whole price. I mean, the cheapest property I've found in the last couple of years was like 160,000. But also unusually I deal with rentals as well. Sure. We all know with the housing crisis what the rental market's been like. And I've kind of stepped back from that a little bit now because it's just got even so much harder in the last 2 years. But initially it was a kind of quick win for me as well, because you get paid a lot faster on rental properties. You haven't got to wait 4 months for a sale to go through on conveyancing. So I didn't intend on doing rentals when I started the business, but people were saying, look, we're desperate to move down, we need to find a rental, we've got a job to risk, can you help? And I was like, well, yeah, okay, I'll give it a go. And that worked reasonably well. So yeah, we deal with the whole price range, rentals and sales, which is very unusual. And the business has now kind of got to a point where I don't really need to do a great deal in the way of marketing.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
95% of my clients come through social media, through Facebook in particular, and particularly through Facebook groups, where there are all these various groups of people looking to move to Cornwall. And when I started the business, I was kind of jumping in there saying, hey, hi, I exist and I do this. And they're like, oh, brilliant. Now, as soon as anybody pulls up moving to Cornwall, one of my clients or ex-clients will jump in and say, contact Michaeil, it's fantastic, he really helped us. So people are then coming to me. It's got to that point 2 and a bit years down the line where it kind of self-markets itself. So which is a nice position to be in. But yeah, social media is by far and away. People then go through to the website, watch the videos and everything else. But they initially find me through social media and through Facebook in particular. So that's what I do. I then expanded. So in September, I took on my colleague Chrissy, and we moved from my spare room, moved into where I am now, which is in Lemon Street in Truro. Obviously, you're based in Truro. Because once the stations reopened all the doors, I think it makes sense for me to be here, because this is where Lillicrap and Chilcot and Stags and Stables are all in Lemon Street. So we can literally, because where we really try to add value to our clients' experience is finding properties before they come on the market. So I can literally be in Lillicrap and Chilcot's office within 10 seconds, saying, right, what have you been at to this week? What's coming on? I've got a client looking for this. What have you got? Rather than trying to do that over the phone. And there was no point in doing it really during the pandemic because the estate offices were all locked anyway, and they're all working from home and stuff. So, so we expanded into the office premises, and it's kind of just going from strength to strength. Really, it's not getting any easier.
Lillycrap and Chilcot and Stags are nice properties to have on your books as well. So
yeah, and we got Jackson, Stocks and Staff, and Savills and Humberts, and all the posh agents are all here in Lemon Street. Who cover? So we cover the whole of Cornwall, and they all tend to only have one branch covering the whole of Cornwall. So yeah, it's worked really well being here in the city centre as well. So, and it's kind of nice to be back in an office rather than working out in my spare room. It's nice to have other people and to bounce ideas off and stuff. So. So that's basically what I do.
Oh, great. Normally, the next question normally would be, I guess, a negative impact, but for you, I'm going to say it's positive. But what has been your biggest impact of COVID-19? How have you?
I mean, bring on another lockdown. It's been great for business, even to the extent where I offer a viewing only service. So if people don't want to fully instruct us to find them a house, if they're like they've seen a house themselves on Rightmove, but they couldn't physically travel down. So there was a period where people couldn't stay overnight and all this kind of thing. They were like, look, we've seen a house. Can you go and view it for us and do us a video or do a video call at the property? Sure, 100 quid plus VAT. So, with hindsight, it was the right business idea at the right time. None of us knew the pandemic was going to go for as long as it did. Because I know on your emails and through the question you asked was how have you had to adapt to business during COVID? Obviously, I only started the business at the beginning of the pandemic, so I'm only now working without a pandemic. So it's kind of the other way around for me. I could see a gap in the market caused by the pandemic. And when the pandemic happened, we all thought the market would crash. We thought people aren't going to buy houses. And of course, the opposite was true, and house prices have gone exponentially through the roof again. And there's not enough for sale or for rent, and the market's just gone crazy.
We were lucky to sneak in just before the second pandemic, so we got everything signed and sealed, got the keys, were in, and then I think 5 days later it was all announced. So we had this huge period where actually we didn't have work, so we just worked on the house.
You
mentioned Chrissy as well. So do you see your team growing any further throughout the year?
I mean, obviously, now I've launched the estate side, and that's now we launched it in November, and that's now getting some traction, and that's starting to take off. So probably actually the next step is taking somebody else on that side of the business. On the consultancy side, focusing on that, because of where we both live. Chrissy deals with Truro East, and I deal with Truro West, down in Camberwell, she lives in St. Colin. So that's working well, and we're busy enough. We're kind of not quite at capacity, but we're getting that way. So depending on how the business goes over the next few months, then bringing somebody else. I don't want to be. I've done this for a long time. I don't want to be looking at houses day to day, which is what I'm doing. I want to be able to step back and drive the strategy of the business, which because I want to look at moving into lettings and maybe holiday letting and other areas. The team will certainly expand. Bringing somebody else in to replace me. So that I can focus on running the business rather than working in the business.
That's good. We sort of focus on working on your business as opposed to working in it. So that's
exactly.
And then have you had to, any of the biggest issues or anything that you've had to overcome, I guess, potentially, are they going to be in the future with, the pandemic not happening? Or?
No, I don't see anything externally happening in the market that's going to mean I'm going to have to drastically or really significantly change the nature of the business. For me, the biggest hurdle, the biggest sort of learning curve has been learning how to run a business. Having been an employee for 30 or years, it's been a steep learning curve with accountants and solicitors and insurances and property redress scheme and all the kind of external paraphernalia other than doing my job that you have to deal with when you're running a business. Taxation and all the rest of it. So that's going to be a continual, and as the team grows, then we're going to have to look at possibly moving office premises again, IT solutions. We just work basically on our mobiles and our laptops. The office is here really so that we can be together once or twice a week, and it's somewhere for clients. If clients are down from up country and on holiday, they can come in and meet us rather than be in my spare room. during the pandemic, it was most of my business in, Costa car parks and Starbucks. So it's nice having that. So the challenges I think that I'll face in the future will be more related around running the business.
Yeah.
And how do you scale your business without going too quickly and stretching yourself? But you also, I'm aiming to think big. I've basically only got 10 years left of working.
Yeah.
So I need to push things on perhaps quicker than I would if I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
Where I think I can take time to develop. I need to be like taking risks and taking chances sooner than I perhaps should do. I'm not following general business processes. I'm just winging it and thinking, this is a good idea. I'll open an estate agent. So I've got no money, but what could possibly go wrong? So I think my future challenges are going to be around as the businesses grow, me managing that and looking after everybody and scaling it up to the next kind of levels. Rather than the property market probably is always going to be a good investment. You just bought a house, whether prices go up or down, I guarantee your house will be worth more in 10 years' time than it's worth today. So and part of me, the reason for me having a buying agency and a selling agency is that if the market turns, one will do that and then one will do that. But overall, one of the businesses will be doing well enough. So it's going to be recruitment and staff retention and general running of business issues that are more likely to be a problem than anything else.
Awesome. Yeah, and then that will come hand in hand with growing the team and then having the right strategies in place that you can then work on. If you
get the right people around you, then that's key, isn't it? But they still need to be, the whole thing needs to be overseen and managed. And at the moment there's three of us and we're all experienced estate agents, and that's great. But as the team grows, I need to be able to then say step back and manage, as you said, work on the business rather than in the business.
Okay, and then sort of touch briefly on the fact that you were an estate agent, you started this business by yourself. But what have you learned about yourself during your business journey so far?
I think the positives have been I'm not as risk averse as I thought I might be. I kind of, some days I say to myself, I wish I'd done this years ago, but then my other little voice says, you weren't ready to do it years ago. You have to be in the right place. Financially, home life, mentally, to set up a business. So I'm really proud of myself with what I've achieved. The feedback I've had from the business model in both businesses are that they're brilliant businesses. It's a brilliant concept and an idea. It's just making that produce a profit. I think where I need to focus more on, where I have struggled, has been the lack of resilience. I'm very sort of, oh my God, it's all going crashing down in the next minute. I'm like, yeah, it's all fantastic. So dealing with those bad days, having that resilience and belief in yourself, having spent years working for huge corporate companies where you're not appreciated, not valued, and they don't bring out the best in you. You have to have that self-motivation, self-confidence running your business that, yes, you have tough days, but it'll be fine. It's all going to work out. And I'm very sort of emotionally, I'm an emotional roller coaster. So it's all either the best thing in the world or it's all the end of the world. So working on that, having that belief and resilience. And I'm at the point now, I guess, with both businesses, I'm now finally at the point where I can see that they work. They're now proven businesses. They're not just a crazy idea I've come up with. So I'm starting to get there now in that, yes, we'll have good days and we'll have bad days, but overall they work and they'll produce profit and income and those kind of things. But yeah, I've struggled. I think a lot of it was pandemic based of working from home and on your own, and it's just you. There's nobody to bounce ideas off, and so having that resilience to just keep at it and keep, you're doing the right thing, but just keep going and keep going and keep going. Has been tough.
Definitely sounds like there's going to be a promising future for the business. It sounds like it's going in all the right direction, so that's good.
Yeah, and I think the estate agency, I still keep kicking myself that it's like, why has nobody else stopped doing this if it's that simple?
Sure. Yeah.
And that's now really taken off. That's going to, the two businesses are kind of almost there now, but that's going to quickly overtake the consultancy.
Yeah.
Because it's a much more scalable business. Again, we're dealing with old Cornwall. There's thousands and thousands of houses that we could sell. The consultancy business it's a more limited market. So I think this density is really going to take off, and that's going to work really well. But it's only take it's taken till now from the 1st of November. You get the point where up until now I've been thinking, and again, it comes back to this lack of sort of resilience and self-belief of, is it going to work? Are people going to, put a house in the market because it's free, and will buyers be prepared to pay a fee to buy a house and all those kind of things? And that's now at a point where it's, yes, it does work. People, it's marketable, and it's and everyone speaks is like, can you even do that? Is that a thing that you can charge buyers instead of sellers? And if you can, it's brilliant. Why not? So, yeah.
Cool. So then to round up, sort of briefly touch that if you were in a place to do it, when you were 30 or many years ago, you would have. But what's the best business advice that you would give to an 18-year-old Michael?
By far, start your own business.
Yeah.
Through all of it, you're never going to make any money working for somebody else. You're just not. It doesn't matter what the business is. It doesn't have to be revolutionary. You don't have to create fire. It doesn't have to be something, just something that you feel there's a place in the market that you can sell your product or your service, and just go and do it. And the sooner you do it, there's an argument for getting some business. You're working together and getting some business experience of general business things. But as soon as you feel confident and able to do it, just go and do it. The worst that happens is it doesn't work out and you go back to work for somebody else. But just do it and keep that self-belief and resilience that I've kind of struggled with. But that's probably largely partly my age. I'm 54, so I think the resilience and self-belief that 18-year-olds have is going to naturally see them through. So just go for it and believe in yourself, and do it for yourself. Don't do it for somebody else. You're just going to make somebody else rich.
Exactly. It's refreshing to hear that, and it's good that you're having so much success and enjoyment out of it.
Through all the tough days that I've had, Sammy, and the days where, oh my God, is it going to work? I've never once thought I'm ever going to go back and work for somebody else. Frankly, fine. It doesn't work. I'll go and push trolleys around Tesco's car park. No problem. But I'm not going to go back to an estate agency job working for somebody else. It's only when you come out of the really toxic environment that I was working in. It's only when you come out of that toxic environment that you realise how toxic it was. When you're in it, you're just getting on with your job day to day. You're not trying to think about it too much. But when you step out of it, you realise that's just not a way to live your life. So I keep kicking myself that I wasted so many years, but I guess it wasn't wasted because I learned a lot through the process.
I'm excited for you. It sounds like you've got a good future.
I'm excited. It's as I say, it's only now got to the point where I can start to be excited about it and look at it and say, yes, it's a thing. It works. Feedback is all 100% positive on it, and everyone seems to be like, wow, I wish I'd thought of doing it, and it's starting to work and bring some reward. So I'm excited for the next step, really. So,
Sure. Cool. That brings the interview to the end. I'm just going to do a quick clap.
Thank you.
For honesty purposes, just so I know to cut the video there.
You weren't clapping me.
Yeah, probably should. I will clap.
Cool.
Fantastic. That was great to even discuss that one business with you there, Michael. So I guess sort of as you were discussing that you previously worked for people, now you're working on yourself, and there's lots of different areas that perhaps you're not so knowledgeable about at the moment. I definitely would recommend having a chat with Tim. He'd be great to he wouldn't do a Zoom, a phone call, and then he'll go through both the businesses with you. He'd be really interested, especially it's quite refreshing because a lot of our clients we've worked with previous to COVID and gone through that with them. So we've gone through peaks and troughs with them, and now they're all, with our coaching, they've come out on the top. So that's really interesting to work, give some advice to a company which has gone COVID. Great. So potentially,
I don't kind of shout about it on social media, wishing for another lockdown, but if it happened, it wouldn't be the end of the world from my point. It's interesting starting a business in the pandemic.
So how are you set for time at all next week? So that's
let's look. I'm off to Butlins for an 80s weekend on Friday and until I'm back on Monday. That should be fun. So you wouldn't remember the 80s, Sammy, but I definitely do.
Just have a
look.
think actually we'd probably go a week today, actually Thursday, towards the end of the week again, if that'd be suitable for you.
Yeah, that sounds good. And same kind of time.
What time?
Or morning rather than I'm potentially interviewing somebody in the afternoon, so morning's better.
If it depends on when do you have your lunchtime. I mean, 12:30 at the moment is coming up as.
Yeah, I can work around that. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. So what I'll do is I'll pop it in Tim's diary, and then so it's more accessible for yourself and Tim. It won't be a Zoom; it'll be a phone call. Tim will just give you a call and then go through the business in a bit more in depth with you and see if there's any areas which we can help you. Give some advice.
Yeah, always happy for free advice. So,
yeah. I'll pop that in. And then Tim will give you a call and then we'll go from there. But this is
perfect.
Nice speaking with you.
Good. And you. All right, Sally. Have a good day. Yeah, lovely.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Take care. Cheers. Bye.